first glance, Dangerous Animals sounds like another disposable shark movie. A crazed fisherman kidnaps tourists and feeds them to sharks. It reads like the sort of direct-to-streaming concept that has flooded the genre for years. Instead, director Byrne delivers something far more intelligent. Rather than making the sharks the monsters, Dangerous Animals turns humanity into the true predator. Combining the tension of serial killer thriller with the terror of survival horror, the film becomes a surprisingly gripping and stylish experience that keeps audiences on edge from beginning to end. Premiering at the 2025 Cannes Film Festival before receiving a theatrical release in June, the Australian-American production earned a strong critical praise and became one of the year's best-reviewed horror films. Made for just $2 million, it went on to gross $9.2 million worldwide, proving that inventive filmmaking and memorable performances can still make an impact without big blockbuster budgets. The film marks the long-awaited return of Australian filmmaker Byrne, whose previous horror films, The Loved Ones, released in 2009, and The Devil's Candy, released in 2015, established him as one of Australia's most exciting genre directors. After a decade away from feature filmmaking, Byrne returned with a screenplay by Nick Leppard, originally set in California, before being relocated to Australia's Gold Coast. Production officially began during 2024 on Queensland's Gold Coast, with the shoot contributing more than $10.7 million to the local economy. The film received international attention long before release when it was selected for the prestigious Directors' Fortnight section at the 2025 Cannes Film Festival, becoming the first Australian feature to screen in that program since These Final Hours in 2014. Following its Cannes debut, independent film company, formerly IFC Films, and Shudder acquired US distribution rights, while Kismet Movies handled the Australian release. Now, the biggest surprise of the film is unquestionably Courtney. For years, Courtney has often found himself remembered more for underwhelming blockbuster appearances than standout performances. Despite appearing in franchises such as Die Hard, Suicide Squad, and The Terminator, Courtney has never become a mainstay Hollywood star. Here, however, he finally gets a role worthy of his talents. Bruce Tucker is terrifying because he isn't simply loud or violent. Courtney makes him strangely charismatic, someone capable of joking with his victims moments before committing horrific acts. His unpredictability becomes the film's greatest weapon. One moment he's singing children's songs, next he's calmly preparing another victim for the sharks. It's a truly strong, horrifying, villainous performance, and one that shows that Courtney is an actor to be taken seriously. Hassie plays Zephyr. She delivers an equally impressive lead performance here. Her portrayal of surfer Zephyr feels completely authentic from the opening scenes. Rather than presenting another generic final girl, Harrison creates someone resourceful, believable, and emotionally grounded. She's prepared to fight with every inch of herself, and in many ways she acts as the perfect foil to Tucker's maniacal terror. The physical demands of the role are obvious throughout the film, but she never sacrifices the emotional vulnerability needed for audiences to connect with her desperate fight for survival. Josh Houston plays Moses, serving primarily as Zephyr's emotional connection outside Tucker's nightmare. Although his role is smaller than the central conflict, he provides an effective contrast to the relentless horror unfolding elsewhere. Ellie Newton has perhaps one of the most difficult assignments in the film. As Heather, she establishes the terrifying stakes early in the story. Her performance helps communicate exactly what kind of psychopath Tucker truly is before the narrative shifts towards Zephyr. Now, one of the film's smartest creative decisions is refusing to make sharks the villains. Ever since Jaws, shark films have largely portrayed the animals as bloodthirsty killers. Byrne deliberately wanted to challenge that tradition. Instead, Tucker manipulates the nature. The sharks are simply behaving like wild animals. He is the monster, not the sharks. That subtle distinction gives Dangerous Animals a surprisingly thoughtful message beneath all the horror. The sharks aren't hurting humans because they enjoy it. They're responding to food being placed in front of them by an obsessive serial killer. It transforms what could have been another creature feature into something much more psychologically darker. Another impressive achievement is how convincing the sharks appear throughout the movie. Rather than building expensive mechanical sharks, the filmmakers used genuine underwater research footage featuring real sharks. Visual effects artists then blended actors into those scenes, altered underwater environments, and digitally recreated surface fins where necessary. The result feels remarkably realistic. Nothing about the underwater sequences appears overly artificial. This grounded approach added significantly to the film's tension because audiences are now constantly reminded that these are real animals, not computer-generated monsters. Some trivia notes. Byrne instructed Courtney to spend time at aquariums studying sharks and observing their behavior to better understand Tucker's obsession. Courtney famously admitted to becoming drunk before filming Tucker's unforgettable dance sequence because he wanted the performance to feel completely uninhibited and hoped to avoid multiple takes. Tucker's first name is Bruce, an obvious nod to the famous shark from Jaws, who was nicknamed Bruce by Steven Spielberg. Tucker's collection of VHS tapes quietly suggests that Heather is at least his 41st victim, adding disturbing background details without explicitly stating them. The line, "Ooby dooby motherfucker," functions as both a callback to Roy Orbison's song featuring earlier in the film and a playful homage to John McClane's iconic "Yippee-ki-yay" catchphrase, of course used famously in Die Hard. The reference becomes even more amusing considering Jai Courtney previously played John McClane's son in A Good Day to Die Hard. Tucker singing Baby Shark wasn't simply written into the script for laughs. Courtney explained that he would play the song for his 1-year-old at home, therefore hearing the song often. The closing credits features Ryan Bingham's song Dangerous. Bingham was married to Hassie Harrison at the time of filming, making the choice a fitting personal touch. Despite its modest budget of only $2 million, Dangerous Animals proved financially successful. The film earned approximately $2.7 million in North America and $6.5 million internationally, for a combined total of $9.2 million worldwide. Now, this was genuinely one of the biggest surprises I've watched in a while. I went into Dangerous Animals expecting a fairly standard shark horror film, and what I got instead was a genuinely tense psychological thriller with some outstanding performances. The film immediately establishes that Tucker, not the sharks, is the true monster. That simple creative decision changes everything. Instead of watching animals randomly attacking people, we are watching a deeply disturbed serial killer weaponize nature to satisfy his own obsession with death. It's an incredibly effective concept. Jai Courtney absolutely steals the film. He's vicious, manipulative, oddly funny, and strangely charming all at once. You never quite know what Tucker's going to do next, which makes every scene involving him incredibly tense. It's easily the best performance I've seen from Courtney, and hopefully one that changes the conversation around his career, because he's genuinely excellent here. Hassie Harrison is also impressive. She completely convinces as a surfer, but more importantly, she feels like a believable survivor. Rather than making reckless horror movie decisions, Zephyr constantly adapts and fights back, making her someone audiences genuinely want to see succeed. Sean Byrne's direction deserves enormous credit too. Everything feels incredibly sleek and controlled. The pacing really lets up, and the cinematography is beautiful despite the horrific subject matter, and the violence is shocking without becoming exploitative. The film also deserves praise for its respect towards sharks. Rather than presenting them as evil monsters, they're shown simply acting according to instinct. Tucker manipulates those instincts for his own horrifying entertainment. That makes the horror feel far more grounded. The running time is also another major strength. The story never overstays its welcome, maintaining tension almost continuously while avoiding unnecessary filler or repetitive shark attacks. Every sequence pushes the narrative forward. Perhaps the biggest compliment I can give Dangerous Animals is that it takes a premise that sounds ridiculous on paper and transforms it into something genuinely gripping. Had somebody simply described the story to me beforehand, I probably would have dismissed it entirely. Instead, Sean Byrne has crafted an intelligent, stylish horror thriller that balances psychological tension with visceral survival horror remarkably well. It's brutal, it's suspenseful, it's surprisingly thoughtful, and thanks largely to Jai Courtney's career-best performance, this is an excellent horror film. Dangerous Animals succeeds because it understands that the real terror doesn't come from the sharks, it comes from the people willing to use them. Dangerous Animals gets an 8.5 out of 10. So what did you think of Dangerous Animals? Please let me know down in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dive reviews.